It all started with me asking the internet a very simple question. Where is the best meal you've had in San Diego? An avalanche of suggestions followed. I narrowed down the list to the 52 places I'd never been to in my city, challenging myself to eat at one every week for a year and blog about it. And the boy who ate San Diego was born. I had no idea if this challenge would be of interest to anyone, but a lot of people wound up reading it. Like, a lot. I finished the challenge and continued to cover other places here and there, but eventually took a break. And then a few years later, some stuff happened and the entire restaurant industry changed. It looked for a while there like my food blogging days might be permanently behind me. But eventually, slowly, things started to come back around. And after many requests from loyal readers and fans, we're back. Except this time, I'm doing it a little bit differently. In this series, you'll come along with me and my friends to experience the best of San Diego food. I hope. Some of y'all got suspect taste. Plus, I'll also be exploring what I call the icons of San Diego food. Places that are tried and true and have been around for decades, passing the test of time. And I'm gonna find out why. Plus, there'll even be times where I venture outside of California altogether to experience new cities and bring you a special report. It's gonna be fun, trust me. Come on, let's eat. 10 years ago, I took a life-changing trip to New Orleans and I fell in love with everything about it. The architecture, the music, the people, but most of all, the food. So anytime a New Orleans-style place opens in San Diego, I'm all over it. But there was one place I hadn't quite gotten to yet, and I thought, what better way to kick off this series than to start here? What happens when an executive chef from the Big Easy transfers over to San Diego in the neighborhood of North Park to give his unique spin on classic New Orleans food and drink? That's the place we're covering today. This is Louisiana Purchase. Now, Louisiana Purchase is the type of place that lets you know immediately exactly who they are and what they're about. You can tell from the minute you walk in, the vibe is very cool. There's purple lights in the bar, there's neon, there's a picture of Britney Spears as the Virgin Mary. It's all very cool, but the thing that immediately stuck out to me was the music. The music was so good. It was the perfect mix of that mid-90s R&B to early 2000s MTV jams, Bill Bellamy magic. As more and more food and drink made its way over to the table, it was all set to the sounds of Mary J. Blige, Maxwell, SWV, Montel Jordan, basically like my ultimate college mixtape. I loved it so much. We ordered some cocktails and some small plates for the table, but the first thing that I had was the Crawfish Mac and Cheese. And I'm going to tell you, this might be the best mac and cheese I have ever had. It is a Gouda-based mac and cheese that's very velvety and creamy, and there's huge pieces of tender crawfish in it. And one of the problems I always have with home-style mac and cheese is they overcook the pasta. It's overboiled, it's undersalted, and it just turns into this soft, squishy, gooey, starchy mess, and it's not very good. They did this expertly at Louisiana Purchase. The elbows were completely al dente, which is exactly how I like them. The water was salted perfectly and you could taste it. It also wasn't super stringy, which is another thing I'm not a big fan of. The cheese was kept in check. It was very velvety and creamy, and there was just the right amount of crunch on top, but just a little bit of heat on the finish. Absolute stunner of a dish. I would go back for this alone. My main dish for the night was the Uptown kitchen sink gumbo. Now I'm going to tell you, when it comes to gumbo, because I've had a lot of gumbo, there are certain things that you just can't BS your way through. You can taste the time in a good gumbo. You can taste the love in a good gumbo. And I am so pleased to say that the gumbo at Louisiana Purchase was absolutely legit. It was so good. It hit all the right notes that you want a good gumbo to hit. The roux was immaculate. There was great andouille in it, and there was just a nice scoop of rice in the middle just to make it all sing. And if I'm being completely honest, most of the New Orleans style places that I go to, for me, the test is their gumbo. Because if you can't do gumbo right, then there's no point in exploring the rest of the menu. I am happy to say they do it right. So for my money, everything that I got was absolutely fantastic, and I would go back to Louisiana Purchase in a second. So that was my experience at Louisiana Purchase, but now let's take it to the group. My friends and I are the type of people who talk about what we're having for dinner over lunch, so we thought, let's get together, make something, and talk about our experiences together. So have a seat at the table, because we're making charcuterie. So we're doing charcuterie tonight, and the first memory I have of charcuterie is actually my dad. When I was little, he would take a TV tray in the living room and watch the original Star Trek, and he would have a giant stick of pepperoni and a hunk of provolone cheese from the deli. And I don't know if you have ever experienced a hunk of provolone cheese from the deli, but it smells like somebody's like awful foot. It's awful. It stinks up the whole house, and to this day, that smell is like my nom. The reason we all are gathered here was that we had our very first dining experience at Louisiana Purchase this week in North Park, and there's so much to cover. There is so much to go through there, but I guess the thing I want to start with is the atmosphere, because I really dug the vibe of this place. I loved how it looked. I loved some of the kitschiness, the music. And I know, Kelsey, you were on board with me.
No, the music was A+.
Dancing the whole time.
The playlist was fire. There were so many other different things to it. Now, we started with the cocktails. That's what I want to talk about first. Because I'm so bummed because I could not partake of the cocktails because for my birthday, I unfortunately got a UTI. And I was just on the end of a round of antibiotics when we covered Louisiana Purchase. So I couldn't drink any of it, which is a shame because they actually have like a Kool-Aid Man jug full, like a party jug of liquor. And I felt like me and Kelsey would have been all over that. One of the things that I noticed about a lot of the drinks at Louisiana Purchase is they did the classic New Orleans drinks, but with a twist and somehow made them different. Shannon, you got down with one of the frozen cocktails. It's called the Hand Grenade. Jameson, cantaloupe, honeydew, fresh citrus, and mint. Take us through that adventure.
It was delicious. It was, like you said, frozen. So it was just refreshing and wonderful. The evening wasn't too cold. It wasn't too warm out. It was a nice night. And this was just like, it was heavenly.
All right.
It was great.
Okay. So in addition to the Kool-Aid drink, what I would have ordered is actually what David had, which is their remix on a hurricane. And I was actually really surprised that you ordered that because you don't really skew sweet with your drinks.
Well, I like a sweet drink, and I've had hurricanes before, and they can be easily too sweet. But they did a really good job of making it sweet. It definitely is a sweet drink, but not cloyingly sweet.
Right.
And the most fun part was that it came with a bag of Pop Rocks attached, which is really entertaining, and I want all my cocktails to come with Pop Rocks now.
So what did that add? Because Shannon, I know you tried that too.
I did a very strange sensation. What we did, David's idea was instead of putting it in the drink and then having it, was to take put some Pop Rocks in your mouth, take a swig of the drink, and then they kind of explode and like hit the back of your teeth and the roof of your mouth.
It didn't even occur to me to pour them in the cocktail. Do you think that's what we were supposed to do? Did I do it wrong?
No, I
Would
like
it
your
have
approach.
exploded all over the table if I had just poured it in?
Because I think Dan tried it as well, and that gave us a bunch more people could try it and not have just it in one drink and have them all pop and then be at the bottom of the drink. I don't know.
I think that drink is probably a choose your own adventure
Yeah.
kind of drink.
Yeah.
There's no wrong way. They're just all very exciting.
Yeah, when you put Pop Rocks in your mouth, they explode. But
Very
when you add, I don't know if this is the alcohol or just more liquid, but they really, it hurt a little.
In the best possible way.
In a good way. It was banging against your teeth. It was like, But yeah, really, really fun and really delicious.
All right, when your second drink of the night was the Strong Island iced tea, which is Louisiana Purchase's kind of remix on a Long Island iced tea, and it's a lit mix, orange curacao, which I've never heard of, lemon, simple syrup, and cola. What was the verdict on that one?
I liked it. I'm from Long Island, and I've had many Long Island iced teas back on Long Island because you order one drink and you usually get pretty trashed. So that's a good way when you're poor to try to get the most bang for your buck. The flavor really took me back to those drinks, and I thought it was pretty tasty, but I would definitely go for the Hurricane ahead of the Strong Island iced tea.
Okay.
For sure.
Well, the food started arriving at the table, and one of the first things I ordered was actually one of the first things that was recommended to me at this place, and that is the garlic cheddar biscuits. They were very large, they were fluffy, they were served with a choice of jam or honey butter. And I found them to be a nice mix of savory and sweetness, and it was a good taste and texture for me.
It had a really good density to it.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
it wasn't too much.
Right.
And it wasn't too cakey, fluffy.
yeah.
No, it was a really good like crumb texture. It was my favorite thing of the evening.
Really?
Like easily. Oh
Okay.
yeah. No.
All right. Well, one of the most noteworthy dishes that Quentin Austin, who's the executive chef at Louisiana Purchase, created is the Alligator Andouille Cheesecake, which is a savory cheesecake with alligator andouille sausage and a crawfish cream sauce. And it sounds wildly creative and absolutely not for me in any way, shape, or form. I just can't get down with reptiles as food. I'm sorry, but several people at the table did partake. So let's just go around right now and give me your thoughts on this wildly inventive dish, Harry.
I liked it. It was light on the spice, creamy, rich. Like I hadn't had a savory cheesecake ever, and that was like wow. It's also huge.
Yeah, that's the other thing. This is not a slice. This is like a whole individual, like little pie.
Yeah.
Shannon, what were your thoughts?
I had to order it as soon as I saw it. I was like, that is the most unique thing on this menu. I have to have that, even if it's going to be awful. I'm going to at least say I tried it. And I am so glad I ordered it because it was my favorite thing. And I was being a pusher and making everyone at the table try it.
Not everybody.
It just was so good. The kind of the texture, like, was sort of like a big crab cake, but it was not to me a cheesecake texture. Like calling it that, it really throws people off, I think.
Okay.
Because it was just like a big block covered in like a creamy sauce, a little bit of spice to it, just delicious.
Okay, on that note, oh, sorry.
Like when you said like, I don't think I want to eat alligator, I was like, damn straight I do. That thing would eat me in a second. So I was like, I'm eating you.
That is true. That is true. And now we have a point of objection coming from the gentleman from Chula Vista.
Okay, so here's the thing. It's I'm gonna piggyback on the not a cheesecake thing, right? Because definitely, I mean, texture-wise, I would never call it a cheesecake unless you told me it, like it's on the menu as a cheesecake, and so like, but it's novel in its labeling, but not a cheesecake.
Okay, Kelsey, did you eat the savory?
Did you
I
try
did.
it?
Okay.
I think calling it a cheesecake is definitely an oversell. Like it's kitschy to get you to go, ooh, alligator cheesecake. It was a cheese bake. It was a cheese bake. It was tasty. It's really rich. Like
Yeah. Like
yeah.
I don't think anyone could finish that in one sitting.
That's a table
The
portion.
top
Yeah.
section of their menu was actually labeled shareables, and that was
No lie.
for the most part appropriate.
Except for Amy.
But because that was like one for the table.
Yeah.
is what we would have needed because I think more than a couple bites was probably too
You're
much.
saying
Yeah.
2 was incorrect?
Yeah, Dan and
I think we
each
may have
ordered one.
overshot.
Actually, David, you ordered was the crawfish garlic parmesan wings. Now, these were interesting. They're chicken wings that are smothered in a rich garlic sauce with crawfish and dusted with parmesan. So, take us through that.
It was a huge plate. So I was thinking it was an appetizer, but I realized you're right, it was a shareable. And that could have been easily a main course. And as much as I loved them, I was begging people at the table to please take a wing because I could not possibly get through them. They were huge. The little drumstick on the wing looked more like an actual leg drumstick,
Yep.
like they were gigantic.
Super rich.
And really rich. That sauce was delicious. I thought it was more than a dusting of Parmesan. It just, everything felt piled onto those wings.
And super messy.
And it was great. And extremely messy. I felt like I needed a bath, but I settled for just going to the bathroom and washing up in
Very
there.
good. Least of the appetizers was the spinach and artichoke toast, which is spinach and artichoke dip on toasted sourdough with fried jumbo crab. Kelsey, take us through your experience with that.
So I'll note that this is my consolation prize to you getting the Mac because I knew we couldn't have 2 Macs at the table, so I wasn't going to get the Mac. So I was searching for another app. It did not belong in the shareable section. It was maybe enough for one person. Definitely not even 2. The crab meat was like lump crab meat on top, but then it was fried, like battered and fried. It tastes like fried. So
Okay.
it completely took away the crab portion, and then the spinach artichoke portion was kind of underwhelming. So it was underwhelming and fried.
Okay. And Joseph, you went in on that with her. What were your thoughts?
I at least got a little bit of like sweet off of the crab.
Okay.
I got a little bit of the crab aspect, but like the toast was soggy. The artichoke spinach was all right,
Okay.
and like at $22, it was a little underwhelming.
Okay. All right. See, this is good. We keep it fair here. The main courses started arriving, and David had the shrimp and grits, which is served with a garlic tomato Creole sauce and topped with bacon lardon, which I can only assume is fully erect bacon. I don't know. What did you feel about this dish?
The menu said it came with 5 shrimp, so you knew exactly what to expect. And they were large shrimp, but they were not jumbo shrimp. So even though that was the main course, if that had been... I'm not usually an appetizer guy. I normally order a main course and a drink. And if that had been all I had for dinner, I might have felt like it was a little too sparse. But the grits were delicious. They were cheesy and they were light. It was covered with also like a tomato sauce. And even though that was really delicious, I would have, if I ordered it again, I would ask for them to go a little bit lighter on the tomato because I like the taste of the cheesy grits. But overall, I thought it was really good.
And Joseph had the shrimp and fried cabbage, served with andouille sausage, peppers, bacon, and jerk spices. And what was your experience with that?
So these are all things that I really, really love. I love cabbage. I love cabbage. And so I was really excited for this. The cabbage was really good. It was sweet, like it was a little bit of spice to it with that jerk. The shrimp was super good. Like it's so easy to overcook shrimp. And it was just like, it was also perfectly like tender and soft. It was all served over rice. The rice was, I'm not even going to say al dente. The rice was crunchy. And like coming back from crunchy rice is really, really hard. Everything on the plate, aside from the rice, was really, really great. Individually. Like the cabbage was good, the andouille was good, the shrimp was good. It didn't feel married as a dish. It felt like a bunch of really good ideas on a plate.
And the rice was a swing and a miss.
And the rice was a swing and a miss. And so like, and maybe if the rice had been done, it would have tied it all together really nicely. But it was a handful of really, really good ideas on the same plate that just didn't really feel married.
I will absolutely go back. I want one of those cocktails, probably 2 of those cocktails. Bring me the Pop Rocks. I am ready. I would absolutely go back.
So I'd actually been to the Louisiana Purchase before for I think brunch, and I'm not a huge breakfast person, so it didn't really impress me then. And based upon that experience, I wouldn't go back. But based upon this experience, absolutely would go back.
Okay.
I would 100% go back and order that fake cheesecake again.
And share it with a friend because it's huge.
And share it with everyone that's willing to.
Oh, sure. I'd absolutely go back. And probably change up, just what I ordered just in general. But it seems like there are a lot of really, really great things on the menu that I'd like to explore. And maybe just what I ordered, it just wasn't for me.
Okay.
Definitely the monthly things. I would be curious to watch for those. Otherwise, I think I will only go back for their happy hour to get the cheaper pricings because while I did say this was my favorite I've had of like Cajun and Creole type food in San Diego County, my number 2 for me, I don't think it's that far away quality wise, but the price difference is about 40%.
Yeah.
And that's where I had a problem with is I'm just kind of like, it's really good, but it's not a big enough leap in quality and flavor to me for that price. And way more cream sauces than I think were necessary. That was just, it was, as we've already mentioned with that, that crawfish sauce was good. It was over relied on in my opinion. And a lot of those dishes I think could have been better if that was lessened, maybe some other seasoning, but it's not my restaurant.
I would go back again. I need to edit myself. Some folks know that one of my catchphrases when we go out to eat is I may have ordered too much. And I think this is definitely somewhere where I would get a drink and an appetizer or a drink and a main, but not an appetizer, a main, a dessert, a second appetizer, some biscuits on top.
I would definitely order less food.
Yeah, so I would go back, but I now know to edit myself, and that's mainly because, like I said, that there's this kind of underlying one note spice through the whole thing, and not that I love that spice. It's great. The flavor was good, but I don't need to eat it 6 times over. Once is enough. So I will edit.
Okay.
Yeah, I definitely would go back. I really liked what I had, and for some reason I was in a lucky seat, and my appetizer came out first, and my main course had everything on it on time, and the waiter was delightful. So I definitely would go back. There weren't a lot of gluten-free choices, so I probably would just get those delicious wings again. But a hurricane and a plate of wings, and I would be very happy to go back again.
And there you have it. That's our spot for this week. If you know of a place in San Diego you think I should try, go ahead and drop me an email at theboywhoatesandiego@gmail.com or find me on all the other socials that'll be linked to this video. See you next time.